It's no surprise, AI, or artificial intelligence, is the talk of the town these days. And one of the things that I get asked a lot is, how are you using AI to create your podcast? So today I wanted to share with you 3 tools that I am using to produce my show, the Proffitt Podcast, as well as create YouTube videos and create all the content that we are producing here at Proffitt Media. So let's get right to it. So like I said in the beginning, we are talking about 3 tools that are AI driven that you can use to create your podcast content. You can also apply this to other areas of your content marketing, such as blog posts, YouTube videos, social posts, and we're going to get into so many other fun things. But I wanted to break down the different stages that I use AI. So the first one is in the planning and creation stages. So think of the behind the scenes that no one else really truly sees. It's more of me and my AI assistant working to create something amazing. The second is producing the content. What does that look like to have someone help you along the way, create the thing so you're not just a solo creator? And then the third piece is giving it that nice shine to where you look and you sound amazing because AI has helped you edit your content to sound incredible. So let's dive into point number 1, where we are planning and creating your content. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is ChatGPT, or the creative assistant you never knew that you always needed. Because as a content creator, you may find yourself creatively blocked. Does this ever happen to you? Where you wish that you would have 1,000 ideas flood your mind all the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what to talk about on my podcast anymore. You no longer have that excuse, because I'm going to show you exactly how I use ChatGPT to help me brainstorm ideas and come up with outlines for podcast episodes and YouTube videos. Like, I can use it to script this video if I want to. I didn't, by the way, but I kind of did a little bit to do some demonstration. So if you are watching us on YouTube, then I wanted to share the 3 examples plus prompts that I created specifically for today's episode, because I didn't want to just tell you, oh yeah, I use ChatGPT, you should try it out, because somebody told me that at the beginning of the year. And I thought, sure, I'm going to go figure this thing out and learn how to use it. It was baptism by fire, or trial and error of figuring out, what am I actually supposed to do with this thing? I don't know how to use this software. I don't understand how to even get started, because when you open ChatGPT, if you're not familiar with it, then it's literally like a Google Doc with that blank cursor just blinking at you. And you're like, what am I supposed to do now? And so what I wanted to give you is 3 prompts of how I use this in my content and potential ways that you could use ChatGPT to help you plan and create outlines for your podcast episodes or any other type of content that you're creating. So I'm going to go to the computer. If you're listening on the audio, don't worry, because I am going to make this so easy for you to follow along. So the first thing that we already talked about today is brainstorming ideas for content topics. And I wanted to give you the actual prompts that I wrote into ChatGPT. And this is exactly what I said. Give me 10 ideas I can use to talk about how podcasting and content creation can benefit online business owners. Now, I want to stop right here because I want to break down the actual prompt that I wrote into ChatGPT so you can understand exactly what this can look like for your content. So what I did is I was very specific, not saying, what can I talk about on my podcast? That's very vague. It doesn't know what your podcast is about. It doesn't know who your audience is. It doesn't know, is there a certain limit to how many ideas that you want from it? Do you want it to give you 1 million ideas, right? So you have to give it some parameters to go by. So what I like to do is giving it the prompt of give me 10 ideas. That's the first piece of this puzzle. It was very specific. I want you to give me 10 ideas, not one, not two, but 10. And the reason why I do this is because I do a lot of batch planning. If you've been around here for a while, you know I love to talk about batching content. And whenever I am working in ChatGPT, it's just one of those things. It's like, I might as well ask for multiple ideas. If I'm going to ask it for one, I might as well ask it for 10. Now, are all 10 going to be like amazing ideas? Probably not. But I want to use it as a place like, what if I just asked for one and it gave me one idea and it was pretty terrible? That would be disappointing. So I give it 10 as the prompt so that I can have a few ideas to choose from, and then we can go from there. So that's the first breakdown of this prompt. Give me 10 ideas. Then I went into, I can use to talk about, and my specific thing was how podcasting and content creation can, so that's like the second piece, benefit online business owners. But the thing that I was asking about is podcasting and content creation. This is the content topic. So what you're going to do is say, give me 10 ideas. I can talk about blank, insert your content topic or your podcast topic, your YouTube topic, your blog topic, whatever, put it in there. And then you're going to say that can benefit, and you're going to put your audience in there. My audience is online business owners. So give me 10 ideas I can use to talk about how podcasting and content creation can benefit online business owners. So that is literally the prompt that I put into ChatGPT. And if you're watching this on the video, you can see it came up with great ideas. Like, this is why I like using it, because again, it wasn't just like one like disappointing idea. There are 10 really good ideas in here that maybe I won't use all of them. Maybe I won't even use them as they are, like at face value, but I will go and like sift through this list and pull out some things. Like even creating this video today, I was like, ooh, I could talk about that. I could talk about a diversified content strategy and brand visibility and awareness and monetization opportunities and audience engagement. Like, all of these are really good. Storytelling for brand visibility, brand identity. I was reading two of them together. Lead generation, adapting to changing consumer trends. I mean, I feel like that's like kind of meta because it's exactly what we're talking about in today's episode, but we have more to cover. So I just wanted to give you the idea. So go type in, give me 10 ideas about this topic for this audience, and see what it generates for you. The second way that I use ChatGPT for my business or my content and how you can use it too is developing outlines and talking points for podcast episodes and YouTube videos. So you have this brainstorming session where you say, give me 10 ideas about this topic for this audience. Then once you receive all of that content, you stay in the same chat, the same window, and then I will say, now turn that into a podcast outline and script for a YouTube video. Did I start something brand new? No, I didn't. I literally went through the process of giving me the ideas. Let's go through the creative assistant. Then I want to turn that into a podcast outline and a YouTube script. That is what I told it to do. Actually, the prompt that I wrote into ChatGPT was, now turn that into a podcast outline and script for a YouTube video. So if you don't know this about ChatGPT, what you put in to the program while you are still there, you don't open a new screen, you don't start a new chat, you are still within, it's like having a continuous conversation. You're having a dialogue back and forth between you and the application. And you need to say, okay, imagine you're talking to your creative assistant and say, okay, we brainstormed ideas. Now turn that into a podcast outline. Turn that into a video script. You're giving it the next thing to do, and it's still part of that same conversation. So don't go switching back and forth between all the chats, and you're starting new conversations every time you do that. You want it to be in the same wavelength, talking about the same thing whenever you are asking it to help you take these ideas, brainstorm everything, now turn it into an outline or a script. Now, it actually, if you're watching the video, you can see it's It's called the podcast YouTube video title, Harnessing the Power of Podcasting for Online Business Success. It literally gives me an introduction, a segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4. Like it goes through all 10 and it gives me a conclusion at the end. Now, I've asked it to write me a couple of scripts and I'm laughing because they are so cheesy. Oh my goodness, they are so cheesy. I don't know who it uses as if it's just reading all the YouTube scripts that are out there or what it is doing, but they are ultra cheesy. And so if I come across something that absolutely just doesn't sound anything like how I would sound, I would say, now simplify this. Again, you're still within that same conversation and you say, simplify this content. Or make it funny, or make it more casual, or give it a little pizzazz. I don't know. There's so many different ways that you can tweak what is written there to match your personality and your style. But I absolutely love having the raw ideas down and then saying, now make it funnier, make it shorter, make it longer, give it more context, make this point more valid. And it's just so incredible once you can get those prompts down and start asking it the right questions and giving it the right commands. All right, so I told you there was 3 things I wanted to share with you about ChatGPT and the planning process. So the third point is generating questions to ask my podcast guest. So whether you interview people for your podcast or your YouTube channel, you can absolutely use this approach. And it's similar to the first one that we talked about. So this is what I said. I said, give me 6 questions I can ask a guest about this same topic. Now, I wanted to make it really easy because we're still in this same conversation about podcasting and content creation. If you remember when we talked about the topic of what we're doing in this chat today, that's what this is all about. So I said, again, give me 6 questions I can ask a guest about the same topic. So if you are batch planning and you're looking out at, I'm going to have somebody come on my show and they're going to talk about this. And, I need some new questions. I feel like I keep asking the same questions to all of my guests. I want something fresh. Go ask ChatGPT and say, what questions can I ask a guest who's an expert in blank, and put their expertise in there, but don't leave it open-ended. Say, give me 6 questions. Give me 25 questions if you want to have a whole bunch to choose from. But this is what it came back with. It said, absolutely, and so polite. Absolutely. Here are 6 questions you could ask a guest on your podcast or YouTube video about how podcasting and content creation can benefit online business owners. It's so smart. It restated exactly what I was asking it to do. So I'm just going to read you this first question. It says, question 1, host, that's me, or that's you in this case. Welcome to the show. Could you share your insights on how podcasting and content creation can enhance audience engagement for online business owners? Okay, that's good. Now that I'm reading through these, it's taking those original 10 points and it's put them all into a question format. So simple, right? It's so simple, but it's so creative. So you're working smarter and not harder in how you are planning your content, getting it ready to actually create it. You haven't created anything at this point. This is just the planning process. This is the behind the scenes. No one else is going to see this unless you share it with your virtual assistant or your podcast manager or someone else that helps you create your content. This is just between you and ChatGPT, which is why I love it so much. So the goal isn't to let ChatGPT do all of the planning for you. The goal is to use ChatGPT's brain and the incredible way that it can think so quickly and do that pitch and catch and really customizing it for your audience and your topic. That way it develops something that is actually useful for you and your podcast. Okay, the second thing that we need to cover today is content production. Now, I love this tool. Okay, I'm going to get so nerdy about this tool because it's life-changing. And I know it sounds so dramatic to say that, but it is 100% true. So I have been using Buzzsprout forever. I talk about Buzzsprout all the time. I'm a proud Buzzsprout creator and partner with them. And I've been using them since 2018 when I first started podcasting. this is by far the best tool that they've created. I actually did a YouTube video in June 2023 about Cohost AI. This is Buzzsprout's newest feature. And just a few weeks later, it's already outdated because they've made additional features and they've improved it and they already made it better. And I'm so like, I know I'm fangirling, I'm nerding out, whatever you want to call it. But this feature is a game changer. So let's kind of break down like, what is Cohost AI? How does it work? All of the things. So I'm going to link to that video that I already created, but be on the lookout. There's going to be another one that's a more deep dive of how all of this works. But I wanted to go pretty high level today to share with you how incredible it is. And I wanted to tell you that this is a paid feature. So if you have a Buzzsprout account, it may require an additional plan option or something else added onto your account. It doesn't come with all free accounts. So I'm going to link to a Buzzsprout article that shares more about what it takes to add it to your current account, or if you don't use Buzzsprout, what it could look like to sign up for a brand new one. If you're interested, you can go to crystalproffitt.com/Buzzsprout because like I said, I am a proud partner with them. But I want to walk you through all the things because it has been so life-changing and saving me hours, not minutes, hours when I'm producing my podcast. And it simplified all of my processes and the logistics that used to take Frankensteining all of these different platforms together to make them work. And now I can get rid of all of those and just use one for all of the tools and capabilities that Cohost AI does today. So I'm going to share my screen. And like I said, if you're listening on the podcast, no big deal. I'm going to walk through exactly everything that you can expect whenever you have Cohost AI enabled on your podcast. You're going to take your finished audio file and you're going to upload it into Buzzsprout like you typically would any other time. And then from there, it's going to process. So it'll like have this little robot dance in and be like, hey, I'm processing Cohost AI, all the things. And then from there, you just have to wait for it to say that it's done. It could take a few minutes. It could take a while, depending on how big your audio upload is. But once it's finished, you can go into that exact episode in your Buzzsprout account. And there is a feature where it says Cohost AI Summary. And when you click on that, it says, here are recommendations after we analyzed your episode. There are 6 things that it does that, like I said earlier, I recorded this other video. I think it did like 3 things whenever I recorded my initial one. Now it does 6 incredible things that saves me hours every single time I'm creating an episode. So the first thing that it does, it gives me 5 podcast titles. So it's 5 recommended titles based on the audio content that I uploaded. So it's not this like random, I went out to the internet and grabbed some ideas for you to use for your podcast. It is actually generated content from my podcast audio file. So it's listened to it, it's transcribed it, and it said, hey, this is probably what you should call that episode. And from those, you can pick whichever one you want to use. Now, I will tell you, sometimes there will be like 2 versions and I'm like, ooh, I want to take the first part of that one and the second part of that one and combine them together. That's fine. You can perfectly do that. You just go in and you edit the actual episode title that you want to have, but it gives you these ideas that are generated from your audio file. Again, it's not going out to the internet. It is grabbing it from your content. So that's the first thing. It gives you episode titles and gives you 5 of them. The second thing that it does is it gives you a written podcast description. This is fantastic. This is actually what used to take me forever. I know it sounds so silly because it's just a description, Crystal. What are you talking about? Why does this take you forever? And I think it's because I didn't always know what to say, and I felt like I was starting to say the same thing all the time. Like, in today's episode, we're talking about this. And I'm so excited about today's episode because we're going to cover that. And it felt very repetitive, and like I couldn't get creative enough to come up with something new, or it always felt really short, or I just didn't love it, but I would just hit publish anyway. But now I rely on Cohost AI to give me a description, and we'll talk about if it's not 100%, like let's say it's 85%, podcaster approved and you would use it. I'm going to share with you in a second what you do whenever it's like almost there, but you need to take it a little bit further and get up to that 100%. Don't worry about that. But it's already done most of the work for you. So Cohost AI, that's the second thing, is to give you a written description for your podcast episode. The third thing, and one of the newer features that Cohost AI does, is it gives you these quotable social posts. I love this. I love it so much. So it says, unlock the power of a robust content strategy and optimize your reach with the spiderweb effect. That's what we talked about in that episode. Find out how on our latest episode with the inspiring Amanda. I mean, that's fantastic. The second one says, perfectionism holding you back? Discover how to overcome insecurities and deliver value through authentic content on our recent podcast episode. It's a time to embrace the long game in content strategy. So it's very short. It's kind of formatted in like a tweet or a thread post. And you could absolutely tweak this. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. If it's like, oh, Crystal, I don't love, social posts or the description, like how can I make it better? Don't worry. We're going to talk about that in a second. But the fact is that it already gives you stuff, and you could take these social post ideas and have your VA or someone else on your team, or if you're looking to batch a bunch of Canva content to promote your episodes, use this. Literally use this. Create like a standard template in Canva and then input these social post quotes into those, and boom, you have a marketing strategy for your podcast. And the fourth thing that Cohost AI does for you is the automatic chapter markers. So before, and I've shared this on the podcast before and on the YouTube channel, I didn't really do chapter markers because it didn't feel worth it to me. I didn't have my audience saying, Crystal, please, can you go through and mark all the different chapters of your episodes? No one was asking me for that, and it felt like a lot of work for not a lot of return, so I never really did it. Now this does it for me, which is just an added bonus. It's just one of those things. I wasn't really stressing myself out about doing it, but now it's done for me, so win-win. The other new feature, this is the fifth one, is a blog post. Bless you, Buzzsprout. Bless you for doing this. Because what I used to do is take the transcript, try to turn that into a blog post. It ended up me trying to edit my transcript into a blog post. That was a whole mess. And then on top of that, I would try to take all my notes from planning the episode and like, this is kind of a blog post. Let's like patchwork. Like we've talked about Frankensteining things together. Like let's put this all together. No. Now Cohost AI will generate a blog post using your audio. Again, this is not going out into the internet and saying, ooh, what random things can we find out here? It is taking your original audio file, your voice or your guest or whoever is in this audio file. It is taking that content and turning it into a blog post. And I put show notes out for every single episode of the Proffitt Podcast. So this is the area where I was saying it literally saves me hours because this blog post is written for me. Now, I told you I'm going to talk about how to edit it and make it like, ooh, give it the va-va-voom that you need to make it sound like you and be something that you're really proud to put out about your content. Don't worry, we're going to get there in a second. But the last sixth thing that we need to talk about that Cohost AI does for you is it also gives you a transcript. So I used to use a separate tool to do all of my transcribing for my podcast episodes. I don't have to do that anymore. It's all native built into Buzzsprout. So that is why I got so excited about Cohost AI. It literally transcribes everything for me. If it's just me in a solo episode, then it has like, it's just me on there. And if it has me and a guest or me and two guests, it will have all the voices split out and the accuracy is fantastic. So that is a quick overview, like I said, of all the wonderful things that I use Cohost AI with Buzzsprout for all of my podcast episodes. But if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you're like, well, Crystal, that's great, but I don't use Buzzsprout. So what can I do? Well, first of all, I recommend you sign up for Buzzsprout. I mean, that's going to be the obvious answer that I'm going to tell you. But the other thing is you can figure out how to use ChatGPT to help you do this. I've used ChatGPT. I've uploaded an audio file. It's transcribed it for me. I've used other tools like Otter AI. I've used, I've actually seen Capshow and Asha and Cast Magic. These are all great for generating some of these things that you can do, but they are additional tools and additional costs. And I love having things all in one place, which is why I'm going to recommend you check out Buzzsprout's Cohost AI. Now, the final thing that we need to talk about is how do you take something that's roughly 85% done and push it over the limit to something that you would be proud to publish for your podcast, on your website, on your YouTube channel? What does that look like? Well, the third and final AI tool that I want to share with you that is my editor, my grammar police, and overall helps me create better presentations, and that is Grammarly. I love Grammarly so much, just about as much as I love Buzzsprout's Cohost AI, because it has saved my life. I have used Grammarly for years, and the fact that I sound like such an amazing writer because of this tool is why I invest in it. I have the paid version of Grammarly, but I use the free version for several years. I was trying to even think of how many. It's been multiple years of using it. I'll get those little scorecards of like, oh, you've written this many words per month and you're on this kind of streak. And I'm like, I don't even know how many badges and all the things that I have now because I've been using it for so long. But here's how I use Grammarly and what it is. So Grammarly is a tool that goes above and beyond just spell checking. It actually checks your grammar, hence the name Grammarly. And it will go through and say, hey, Crystal, it doesn't really call me by my name, but I imagine it's calling me out like that when I'm wearing a Google Doc together. And it will say, this is passive voice. This should be active voice. Or you started the very beginning of this Google Doc this one way, now you're switching it. It doesn't make sense. So when I'm writing my emails to my email list, I use Grammarly. When I'm writing my podcast show notes, I use Grammarly. When I am planning episodes, I use Grammarly. Even today's episode, I was planning it in Asana and Grammarly was like checking me along the way. Like I said, it's my editor, it's my grammar police. And whenever I do something in ChatGPT and I move it over, let's say to a Google Doc, or I'm planning it somewhere else, Grammarly is installed on my Chrome extension. It's installed on my phone keyboard. It's installed on my iPad. So anywhere that you would or you could create content and you're going to use Grammarly, install it everywhere. I literally use it on all of my emails too, because I just have terrible grammar. I write how I talk, and sometimes it doesn't really translate to professionalism. So when I want to sound a lot more professional, I need to use Grammarly. It's what I do. So one of the cool features that it recently came out with, it's called Grammarly Go, and it is in the beta version. So I don't know who all has access to it, if it's only to paid members or if free people can actually access it as well. But it's so cool because I can highlight a text. So let me show you. If you're watching on the video, I'm going to show you in real time. So the new feature, and you can see here my script, it says, okay, this is my Grammarly Go. So I'll highlight it and then I come over here and I can say improve it, shorten it, clean up notes, and more. And so I can take it from something that's more casual to more professional. I can say, make it more assertive, make it more engaging, make it persuasive, sound confident, shorten it. So it's very similar to the prompt mentality of what you do in ChatGPT, but you're doing it within this other app. And this tool can help you write better sales pages, have better website copy, write better emails, like I said earlier. And it is how I clean up my blog post. So the way that logistically this works for my podcast is I will take the blog post content that was created by Cohost AI, I will put it either in Asana or a Google Doc, and then I will let Grammarly go through and clean it up and make sure that everything makes sense. And then I will go through and say, that sentence doesn't work. Like I'll highlight it using Grammarly and say, improve it. and it will improve it. It will make it more persuasive. So if you're someone that's a little more shy or timid and you want to be more assertive, rely on tools like Grammarly to help you do that. But also it helps you really feel confident that what you are writing is incredible. Like I said earlier, I've been using it for years and it has absolutely changed the game of me feeling more confident as a writer. And it has helped in just the overall production of my blog posts, my podcast episodes, because I use it when I'm planning content and I use it when I'm creating things, when I'm creating presentations, when I'm creating outlines. I use it all the time and I rely heavily on this tool to help me. And it is one that I recommend all podcasters use as well. So let's do a quick recap. So the 3 tools that I recommend every podcaster use: number 1, ChatGPT. Number 2, Buzzsprout Cohost AI. And number 3, Grammarly, to get your content that was maybe AI generated from the beginning and turn it into something that you are proud to produce as a podcaster and content creator. What a fun episode. This was incredible. Y'all been asking me for a follow-up to all the things AI that I created earlier this year. And so that is exactly why I created today's episode. But if you're watching this or listening to it in real time, I wanted to share with you another resource. If you're thinking about creating a digital course, my friend and mentor, Amy Porterfield, actually created this free guide to guide you through how to use ChatGPT to develop your next course idea. So if you loved the prompts that I shared with you here today, I want you to go check out the prompts that she has for course creators. So go to crystalproffitt.com/AI-course to check it out. It's a downloadable PDF and it will show you how to go through ChatGPT, the exact prompts that you need to put in there to help you come up with your first or your next course idea. So again, go to crystalproffitt.com/AI-course to grab it today. But that's all I have for you. So if you are tuning in for the very first time, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you are watching and listening. And I would love it if you would take a screenshot and share it on social media. Let me know what your number 1 takeaway was. You can tag me on Instagram at crystalproffittx. I would love to hear from you. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.